All right, folks, today we're going to do the rear brakes on a 2005 Toyota RAV4. You're not going to need very many tools. You're going to need needle nose pliers. I like to use vice grips. Need a flathead. You're going to need a 14mm box end wrench, and you're going to need a C-clamp to push the caliper back in. And my lug nuts are 3/4 inch, so using 3/4 inch drive. All right, first, folks, we're going to need to get this car up in the air with a good jack. Don't need to go crazy, just get the tire off the ground. My particular wheels, we just have to pop it off of the flathead. Let's get that tire out of the way. Let's get to it. Inspect your rotors. Make sure you don't got any grooves. These brake pads still have some meat on them, so we're doing good. You're going to take your 14mm wrench, and right back here on the inside, you're going to see the bolt head, and then the other one is going to be right down here for your second one. All you have to do is loosen those and pull the bolts out. Let's get started. Okay, these bolts, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Let's get the bolts loose, just pull them, get them out of the way. I like to use a milk crate just to support the caliper. And you can see there is still some life left in this, but the other side was a little closer worn. I just picked these up from O'Reilly's. We are going to be using MKD 1051 for the brake pads. You'll notice they got holes on the sides. That's where little pins go through. And those pins are held in with a little spring clip. So that's why we're going to need the needle nose pliers, and save these little clips right here because you're going to need to reuse those as well. Let's get started. Here's that little spring clip, and it has a little hole on each one of these pins, and they go in at a slight angle, so you're going to need to just get a hold of it without bending it. And if you would just pull up a little bit, Let me set this camera down. Okay. Again, to save that, you're gonna need them. Set that off to the side. You're going to need to keep it and reuse it. Yeah, that's the way the pin should come out. Just nice and easy. So you can see how they're at just a little bit of an angle. Just put that off to the side. You're going to need to reuse those. Now these little clips, you're going to also need to keep, because the new pads will not come with them as well. So the left side there goes underneath the pin, but then that little tab right here goes into this middle hole, and just save these clips. Okay, you're going to need to pull these clips out. That's where the vice grips come in really handy. Sometimes they're a little rusted in there. All right, now before we can put the new pads on and reuse these calipers, we're going to need to do one thing. We're going to need to get this plunger of the caliper back in to make room for the additional meat of the brake pads on the new ones. So all you're going to need is a C-clamp. Pretty easy. Okay, get the C-clamp. Now, depending on the size of the caliper, on pickups you can have the C-clamp turned the other way, and the threaded portion of the C-clamp will actually go inside the plunger. But on this little Toyota, it's easier to put it on the back side, and then you just crank her back in. Don't go any further past the rubber bushing there. You want to keep that rubber sleeve in good condition, and you don't need to go any further. Far enough. Get rid of that C-clamp. Not going to need it anymore. And you're going to want to put your pads in. You notice that these are tapered. and they're curved. The curved part goes down, the larger part goes up. I'm gonna put the camera down, get them situated, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, now you're gonna need to put your pins back in. See that little hole? That is where the retainer spring clip is supposed to go. So just kind of keep that in to the top, makes it easier, or you'll just have to turn the pin until you find it. Okay, sometimes you might just have to tap them in just a little bit. Perfect. Now you see the little holes in the pins? You're going to need to orientate them so we can put that clip back in. Okay, orientate that off, just angled off the side a little bit. Just kind of helps because that spring is angled. Don't worry about the pads right now. Get one side in all the way, and then the other side. Easiest thing is just hold on to the middle, and you should be able to slightly push with your thumb, and sometimes you have to either pull up with your index finger or your third finger, or push down, but it goes pretty easy to go in there. Make sure that clip is all the way in, because that clip is going to keep your pins in place. Now, that clip that we discussed earlier that you needed to keep, that angled, that goes underneath the spring, that's going to keep this from flopping around while you get the caliper back on the rotor. So how it's indexed should look like that. So this curved piece is going to go on the top of the brake pad, and this piece is going to go underneath the bar. So you see how it goes underneath that pin? Then it's going to go on top. Now, this little end is going to go right inside that metal hole. Just like so. All right. And we're just going to reverse our steps now. Okay, if the bolt fell out, that's okay. If they both fell out, that's okay too. It's not really a big deal. You're going to see your bolts are two different sizes. So the bottom of the caliper has a longer shank, and so the shorter bolt is going to be what's going to be on the top. Let's set you down, get that started. Okay, got the top one started. Always helps to get one in the hole first, and then get that bottom one in there. Don't tighten up either one until after you have them both started. Save yourself a little bit of grief. You take the 14 millimeter. Had a little tight spot there for a minute. Okay, there's no need to get a hammer and hit on top or anything else. You don't need it. You just need to make sure it's good and snug. I've seen where some people have taken a hammer or wrench and pounded on them. You don't need to do that. Just get it tight. Give a nice little tug. Okay. Reverse the steps. Let's put the tire back on. Always helps to get them all started before you use your impact. All right, torque to your vehicle specs in reverse and do that on the other side. Hope it helps. Have a great day.